Have you ever had that feeling, that really unsettling sense that maybe you're just fundamentally different from everyone else?
Oh, absolutely.
Like there are parts of you hidden so deep down,
hmm
parts you think if people saw them, it would just be too much.
It's a pretty profound and, yeah, sometimes terrifying psychological thing, isn't it? That feeling of being separate, like there's a secret self you keep locked away behind a mask.
Exactly. And today, we're doing a deep dive into a book that just grabs that feeling and doesn't let go.
Right.
Osamu Dazai is no longer human. It's semi-autobiographical,
Yeah.
and it's intense.
It really is. It's this dark, kind of horrific tale of personal tragedy, trauma, despair, loneliness, self-destruction, just deeply psychological.
Truly one of the most powerful psychological novels I've ever read. So the protagonist, Obero, he spends his whole life just haunted by this feeling, this conviction that he's deeply unlike other people.
Yeah, like at his very core, he feels not fully human. It's this constant crushing weight on him.
You know, the title, No Longer Human, is the most common one in English. But I've heard some argue that maybe a better translation is disqualified from humanity.
That's right. And that rendering, disqualified from humanity, it really gets to the heart of Gobiro's feeling, doesn't it? Like he just fundamentally doesn't belong. He's failed the test.
Yeah. So our mission today is really to dig into that profound sense of separation. Where does it come from? What does it do to him?
And maybe what it can reveal about, experiences we all might have to some degree. We're hoping this dive helps you, the listener, get a deeper handle on maybe some of the trickier parts of your own mind.
Okay, so let's start with that core alienation Obero feels. It doesn't seem like one single event, but more like it starts as confusion about other people.
Right, bafflement almost, which then kind of shifts into confusion and then pretty quickly escalates into this paralyzing fear.
And he doesn't see people as like individuals. He sees them as, what was the phrase, a large, eldritch, singular beast.
Exactly, like something ancient, unknowable, and deeply threatening, almost Lovecraftian, capable of doing terrible harm.
Wow. And the book suggests this fear might connect back to a childhood assault by servants.
It hints at that, yeah. But Oberon's own writings, the diaries in the novel, suggest this feeling of being an outsider, of being somehow fundamentally flawed. It actually started even before that. It defines his whole life, basically. He talks about living with much shame.
That whole dynamic, it makes me think of Kafka. You read his diaries, and he's just terrified of people, of judgment, utterly terrified. But then his friends, they described him as sociable, funny even. He had this whole public persona.
That's such a good parallel. Kafka lived this kind of double life, right? Not because he was like a spy or something, but just out of pure insecurity and fear.
Yeah.
And Obero's doing the same thing, this deep isolation, this feeling that he just can't get other people. It leads him straight into hiding himself away.
And the way he hides is,
Yeah.
well, it's memorable. He puts on this jester mask.
Right.
He becomes the clown.
Yeah. And his goal is so simple, almost heartbreakingly so. He thinks, if I make people laugh, well, then they probably won't want to hurt me.
Right, and I'll pass for one of them. He just wants his secret safe at last.
But you see it right away, this desperate act. It just sets him up for total misery down the line.
Because the performance becomes everything. His life turns into this constant, tense game of cat and mouse.
And other people become the sole determiner of his feelings. Think about that scene where his father visits, asks him what gift he wants.
Oh, yeah. He just freezes.
Totally freezes, because he can't figure out what his character's supposed to want, let alone what he actually wants. It's like he doesn't even know anymore.
And then his dad shows just a tiny bit of disappointment.
And Obero just completely spirals. He's convinced some awful, fearful revenge is coming his way just for failing the act slightly. It shows how trapped he is.
And even when the act works, when people laugh or like him,
He doesn't feel happy. The book says he feels more relieved than happy. He's living in this permanent terror that the mask will slip, that he'll be found out.
so any praise, any affection he gets, it's for the clown, not for him, which just makes him feel even more disconnected.
And gives him more reason to be scared. It's like validation, but it's completely hollow. It reinforces the lie.
What's really insightful, though, is when Obero looks around and thinks, maybe I'm just taking what everyone does to an extreme.
Right. He sees this undercurrent of deceit that keeps society's gears spinning. He thinks maybe everyone's pretending to some degree.
Which really makes you wonder, doesn't it? It raises that question for you, the listener. What parts of ourselves do we keep hidden away, ashamed of?
Yeah, how would people react if we showed those parts openly? How much are we just putting on a pretense?
Now, the book isn't saying we should all be like radically honest all the time.
No, that would probably be chaos. It's more exploring that really complex mix of honesty and deceit in human life. And there are definitely no easy solutions offered.
Okay, so that constant acting, that hiding, it must take a huge toll on his ability to actually express himself,
Oh,
right?
no, massively. Self-expression, it can sound a bit vague, but it's so important for our well-being. I mean, there's actual research linking frustrated self-expression with lower well-being, even depressive tendencies.
And you see the flip side in the book, don't you? When he's a kid, painting with his friend Tichi.
Yes. Those are some of the only moments of real, joy in the book. He paints these self-portraits showing all the hidden, dark stuff inside him.
And the narration says that's the high point of Obero's mental state in the whole story.
It really is. Those rare moments where he can actually be himself, even just on canvas, are his moments of peace.
But even then, he's caught. He says, naturally, I did not show my pictures to anyone except T.
Right, because he's afraid. Afraid of suspicious vigilance, or maybe even worse.
That people would just think it was some new twist to my clowning.
Exactly. The only thing worse than being condemned was just never being taken seriously at all, for his act to swallow everything.
So tragically, he loses that outlet later on in college.
He does. And he turns to other things. Heavy drinking, visiting prostitutes. He calls it an escape.
But the narration,
Hmm.
it's tricky there, isn't it?
It
It's
is.
deeply unreliable.
Very. He says he's escaping his fear of other people, but then he lets slip. It terrified me to sit by myself quietly in my room.
So it sounds more like he's trying to escape himself.
That's what it strongly suggests, yeah. That he's starting to find his own company unbearable.
And this feeling seems to change how he sees his own act, his clowning. It's not a triumph anymore.
Yeah, he starts seeing it as a buffoonery of defeat.
Ugh.
He's not some clever mastermind pulling the strings anymore. In his own eyes, he's become this undesirable object.
Which is a really crucial and frankly chilling stage in his downward spiral.
And it leads him ultimately to intoxication as a way to escape himself and then, well, to trying to end his own existence.
Just the absolute depth of self-loathing. He literally can't stand being himself anymore. So thinking about this for you, the listener, maybe total self-expression isn't realistic, like we said.
Yeah.
Maybe it's even undesirable at a societal level.
Probably. But Aubert's painting, it really highlights that basic human need for somewhere we can express ourselves authentically. Somewhere that feels like home, psychologically speaking.
Without that. Well, look at Obero. His self-contempt, maybe from betraying himself for so long, maybe just from a lack of courage, it leaves him completely lost.
Totally disoriented and disconnected. He's so deep in the habit of pretending he feels like he can't stop. Even if he wanted to, he's lost the way back.
There's that line from Dostoevsky, from the Brothers Karamazov, hell, I maintain, is the inability to love.
Oh, yeah. Powerful line.
And that feels like such a key lens for understanding Obero's relationships, or maybe his lack of them.
It really does. And Obero himself, he kind of knows it. He says something like, I know that I am liked by other people, but I seem to be deficient in the faculty to love others.
It's not that he's malicious exactly.
No, not really. It's more this profound disconnection. It's like he can't recognize his own feelings of love, assuming he even has them, or register when others genuinely love him. He's too much of a spectator, even in his own heart.
You see it play out so painfully in his romantic involvements.
Yeah.
He's terrified of upsetting anyone, so he just goes along with things. He can't seem to refuse unwanted attention.
Right. Take Sunoa, the bartender. He feels like maybe, just maybe, he can be himself around her. It seems like a real breakthrough.
But then what does he do?
He runs immediately, and he even admits why. The weak fear happiness itself. I was impatient to leave her while things still stood the same before I got wounded.
Wow. He's so unused to anything genuine that the possibility of real connection, real happiness, actually scares him off. He sabotages it.
Exactly.
And then comes that really pivotal, awful moment. Zenoa, in her own despair, suggests they jump into the sea together.
And Obero, he just agrees almost immediately. He survives, she doesn't.
And later he claims, of all the people I had ever known, that miserable Sino really was the only one I loved.
But, I mean, you have to question that, right? If you really love someone, do you just agree to a suicide pact like that?
It feels like a turning point. Before, his self-destruction mostly hurt him. Now
he starts to really deeply hurt almost all of the people he professes to care about. It's this kind of troublingly familiar selfishness that can happen when someone's drowning in their own misery.
Yeah, his disconnection just narrows his vision so much he doesn't seem to register the pain he's causing.
And the pattern becomes one of just taking people for a ride, exploitation almost. He marries Yoshiko on a whim.
Deceives her, leeches off her.
And then after she's assaulted, which is this horrific event, he basically just abandons her coldly.
It's the combination of that despair-fueled egoism. He just doesn't have the capacity, the internal resources, to genuinely care for someone else properly.
And yet, here's the irony. Throughout all this, people keep showing him kindness, like strange kindness, the book calls it.
Right, there's Flatfish, the bar madam who takes him in. Another woman finds him work. His brother sends him money, no judgment.
But Obero, he just can't seem to recognize these acts of kindness. Often he reacts with suspicion, even pretty open hostility.
So his belief that he's permanently divorced from humankind, it just becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy. He sees everyone through this lens of potential threat.
And that distortion tragically blinds him to the actual love and support that's right there.
Obero himself asks this question, and it feels like it hints at how unreliable his whole story might be. He asks, is it not true that no two human beings understand anything whatsoever about each other?
That deep skepticism about connection, it's fundamental to how he sees the world and himself.
And it really makes you, the listener, pause and think, was his act that good? Did he really fool everyone into thinking he was okay or even good?
Did people see through it? Did they see his struggles, his flaws, and choose to show him kindness and love anyway?
Or the other possibility, was Obero just completely wrong about himself the whole time? Did he invent this monstrous evil Ober he felt so guilty about and then view his entire life through that warped, self-hating lens?
And that epilogue throws everything into question, doesn't it? The bar madam, she saw him at his lowest points, witnessed some of his worst antics.
Yeah. And yet, how does she describe him?
She calls him easygoing and amusing, even a good boy and an angel. It's such a stark contrast to Obero's self-perception. It really challenges everything he's told us.
So whichever way you lean on that,
Yeah.
whether he fooled everyone, whether they saw through him and were kind anyway, or whether he was just profoundly mistaken about himself.
The outcome for Obero is the same. Utter tragedy. All these possibilities cast him into despair and make him feel totally and utterly disconnected from others and from any sense of his own worth.
And this despair, it reaches right up to his view of God, of forgiveness.
Yeah, he says, I was frightened even by God. I could not believe in his love, only in his punishment. He could believe in hell, but heaven, impossible for him.
That inability to even conceive of redemption, of forgiveness, either from others or for himself, it locks him in place.
It does. It prevents any possibility of change and just digs him deeper into misery and destructive behavior.
And we have to remember, this book is semi-autobiographical. Osamu Dazai himself, he struggled immensely.
He did. He never recovered from his despair, tragically. And maybe that's why the book offers, as you said earlier, hundreds of questions and almost no answers. It's just this raw, unflinching look into that abyss.
So when you boil it down, No Longer Human is this chilling story of one man's failed attempt, failed journey to find his place.
Yeah, to find a sense of humanity, connection with others, purpose, dignity, and to deal with this crushing sense of his own wretchedness and his inability to love.
It's incredibly vulnerable, not just about the depths of misery, but also about all the hurt you can cause others when you're trapped there, which leaves us with a really heavy question, I think.
Could Obero have been redeemed? And if so, how?
Yeah. For anyone listening who maybe feels that disconnect sometimes, feels alienated, Obero's story is a pretty stark warning, isn't it?
It is. It shows one deeply flawed path you can take when dealing with isolation. Maybe by looking at his journey, his failures, we can think more clearly about how we want to approach those feelings in our own lives, how we might want to, actively treat them differently.